Hey guys, Thomas Sosa Jr. here, aka Mustache Tom, here to review the movie Captive State. I've seen a trailer for this movie, and it did seem somewhat interesting. However, its execution got a little bit wonky along the way. But we'll get into that now with my review of this movie. So, this movie starts off with some dialogue reading someone random typing into this computer. We cut to a man driving with his family to essentially drive away from this sort of quarantine-like area, and the two of them get killed by this alien-like creature, which is able to spike its way through the vehicle that they are essentially going through. And the only two characters left in the vehicle are the two kids, who are brothers. So, it cuts to more stuff about like what's going on. These aliens, I don't remember. I think they were called like roaches or something in the movie, and like how there's even more division somehow. And we cut to 9 years later in the specific state of Chicago. Two guys on a roof, and one of them, I believe his name is Bill, who's looking at a paper, and he finds this symbol that is like leading to some sort of thing. He goes to meet with this woman who I guess would be his informant of sorts or something along those lines. And he's trying to learn more about this like Phoenix operation that is going down. Whatever that operation is, he's trying to get in on it. We cut to this another person with glasses meeting with this other transaction guy, making some symbols. And the fact that I'm going to be using the terms like general man or general woman a lot in this review. It is because the movie does not specify who these characters are, which I do think ultimately hurts the movie. So there are more transactions to these other people and so on and so forth. We finally cut back to our main character, and I put that in quotes for a reason, Gabriel. So he works at this like computer area where people are tasked with like getting pictures or something and uploading them to the computers and then deleting the actual or destroying the actual devices themselves. It's a weird little thing, and he goes to this woman who gives him some weed. But he doesn't know much more than that. So he, afterwards, he leaves with these group of people, but this one woman is like hurled out of the group, for having like these little twitch things going on in her neck. So she is taken to this van and left there. I don't know, like, if that's, like, supposed to signify, like, alien is inside her, or something along those lines. It's very unclear. So Gabriel watches as these ships are leaving, and he goes to his friends, I believe his name was, like, Augustus, or something like that, who's sick of waiting around their little, this little scenario that they're in. He essentially wants to get himself and Gabriel out of there. So, we see that we cut to... Hold on, I lost my place here for a second. Oh, here we are. So... After meeting with his friend, he goes over wanting something else. They hear the cops, and he gets ready to flee. He meets with Bill, who picks him up and essentially says that Bill says that Gabriel works for him and that him and his father used to work together and stuff of that nature. So Gabriel leaves the factor, goes to this dealer, but then ends up getting forced into this truck, given a choker, and driven out into this deader part of the city. So he does so, he goes into the city, takes the choker off by himself. He leaves it on the desk, which I'm going to call a plot hole right now, and he meets up with his brother, who he thought he was dead. His brother got this little tracking device off of him, and the brother takes the weed and then tells the brother, tells Gabriel to essentially take money and then get out of this zone or whatever. And that a war is going to go down. What this war is over, I have no clue. But they hear a noise and he gets ready to leave. And after Gabriel has already left, there was a message inside the weed roll-up, and that was what was more important. So the brother starts prepping up, and we cut to Gabriel and his girlfriend talking about ready to leave on their own accord. And Bill is listening in onto everything that Gabriel is saying because he too has a tracker which he has not gotten rid of. So Bill goes up to him and then Gabriel runs off into this lower area where he's attacked by these different looking aliens. They're like these sucker aliens that hit up against the window. And he suddenly puts the choker back on, although he never picked it up in the scene where he was in the house, so how he put it back on is baffling to me. And this choker is kind of relatively important since it allows him not to be tracked. So Bill returns to the office, and then we cut back to this another man who gets this message, and then he delivers it to this hacker guy. The hacker guy gives it to Kid. Kid gives it to telemarketer guy. And this paper is approved, and then the kid takes this thing to this underground area with the symbol, and all of this leads up to this little request going out. So we cut to a guy dog, or a guy with a dog, leaving this woman. Who are all these characters? I don't know. They're important. What they are doing is apparently important enough to warrant them being here, but okay. Some guy with the briefcase, so on and so forth, some guy with the mustache. We get I think it's a team of 5 people who are going out on the mission, and then more people helping them from a distance, essentially. So, we cut back to Gabriel or his brother, I forget which, talking about, I think it's the brother, talking about, this weapon that they can bomb and make it, invisible or something, and that they do. Thus, we cut to this club where this weapon is being made. And this little crew gets these little things in case of anything happens that they want to make sure that none of them live or something. It's a suicide mission that they're apparently getting ready to go on. Meanwhile, a state address is being made in this football field. And this team is making their way to this football field to get one of the men. I think he's a bomber, or he makes bombs or something of that sort. They make their way into this little ceremony. The 5 of them start to get in their spots. They spot the target, and we see that a ship is heading above the stadium, and one of the aliens drops down. So they place the tracker on their target, and this target that they went for is approaching these aliens, and thus, as soon as he nears these aliens, an explosion occurs. After a long while, we cut back to Gabriel, and then Bill opening that box to see a little phone. Meanwhile, back at the stadium, people are running and panicking. The lady that was with them picks up this guy who gets shot. He's like a bigger, balder guy. He was killed in the process. The brother ends up like fleeing on his own accord. He runs into his own alien, but he gets help from one of the other taller guys that were with them, the business suit guy, who has a fire extinguisher, gets hit in the process of taking down this alien. And it cuts back to Gabriel running and throwing stuff at this fire, making it like do stuff, get bigger. He places the choker back on because he had took it off at some point and put it back on again. And we cut back to the bald guy being hurt pretty bad. And this fire started as these new news conferences are talking about a war that is like going down now. So Bill talks with this other guy who has this like gas mask on, and then he's like going ready to like board the ship. Then he proceeds to go back to this woman, his informant, I suppose, to get even more information. We cut back to outside as police are grabbing everyone, Gabriel included, outside, making sure that no one's like, I guess, infected or anything of that nature. So people are being moved, tech is being trashed, riots are happening. Gabriel tried to hold one of the people up, but then he was held up himself. We cut to one of the businessmen getting attacked, and the brother moves in with the woman, and they do their thing. That kid that was with the hacker group is like getting ready to move again, and we cut back to the woman and the guy and the brother on two different buses. Both of them get stopped by these soldiers, and the other guy gets killed. And seeing this, the woman gets outraged, wanting to act upon it. And thus she proceeds to get back up, even though the brother stopped him before, and then she runs again and ends up getting shot for no other reason than just running toward the guy. This does give the brother opportunity to essentially move in and tackle this guy. We cut back to the big brother being taken down afterwards. Gabriel goes on about with Bill and asks about the brother, and he gets taken to him, and then he's like all beaten and battered, and Gabriel wants to do whatever he can to save him, and then Bill's like, haha, gotcha. Watches on as these riots are going on. Gabriel sends this paper along with a new exchange that is going down. Afterwards, they start to move. And as soon as Gabriel moves his way into like this building where he was told to meet up in getting driven there, he gets back to where that informant was. And as soon as he meets this woman who knows his name for some reason, the squad that Bill had sent in goes in and kills her. Um, and as er, Gabriel is allowed to essentially leave, I suppose, as Bill has to take the stand, communicating with these other in people that are like typing everything out. But before all that, Bill essentially found the all of these things from the woman, like this communication line and this entire setup, and then they on this little meetup with this other group, this whole Phoenix operation that I mentioned way at the beginning is exposed. The team is exposed. Some of them are killed, and then some of them even kill themselves in that process. And even their own chain, Bill's chain, was compromised in this process. So we cut to more people getting on this ship. Gabriel's like walking, and then Bill picks him up, presents him that phone we saw earlier. He walks and he goes in to download the data, sees that he saw Bill. This is before he was even born, and Bill's saying stuff. And essentially he's getting ready to leave to go to the ship himself, as Gabriel destroys the chip after seeing his mom and all that stuff. So Bill heads up to the bridge, and then as Gabriel deletes the data, Bill is sent off into wherever knows where. And that was Captive State. Oh boy, is this movie a huge mess. This definitely feels like a one of those particular movies that should have instead been a series, like a TV series. This definitely has that feel to it. At first we're following Gabriel, and then all of a sudden we're following the squad and their little unit, and then we're learning about what Bill's trying to do. Again, there are so many different pieces at play here, along with these two different types of aliens that I was seeing in the movie. Again, I feel like this is more akin to a TV series that should have been paced out a lot better. You know, like in the first episode, you see the whole Gabriel thing, and then him starting out and all that stuff. And then in the next episode, you could have focused more on that crew that was assembled, learn more about them rather than just, we're going on this mission. Next episode, we cut back to Gabriel. Next episode, we learn more about the aliens or something. This definitely feels like something that was way more suited to be a TV series. And how it is presented in this movie, again, it is a cluster of a mess, with a lot of characters whose names we don't even get to learn in the process of all of this. With this being Gabriel's story, he doesn't seem to take part in too much of it. Again, we spend a huge chunk of time with this random crew. So yeah, just to recap the series, I think this would have worked much better. As to give it a score, again, as a movie presentation, I would give it a 3 out of 10. Definitely should have gone for the series route, but it is what it is. This is what they presented, so that is what I'm going to give it. So, with that being said, that is my review of Captive State, and if you enjoyed this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you to my Discord server, the other to my Patreon page. Any donations are greatly appreciated, and until next time, everyone, bye-bye.